having allergy issues like spring came too early already? I'm having that this morning, so forgive me if I have a little bit of the sniffles. I'm going to talk about reconciliation this morning, our theme this month. And as you know, I like to break words down. It helps give me context, help me get started on my journey. And restoration means to restore to union. Restore to union, a relationship after estrangement, or restoring favor or grace, or it means to bring together again, to win over again, to conciliate. Re means back or again. Conciliate means make friendly. So reconciliation means go back again, and make friendly, a relationship or situation. In theology, it can mean restoring one's relationship with their higher power, with their God. What do you need to reconcile this morning in your life? What do we as a congregation need to reconcile? That's what I'm going to be talking about this morning. Now, I don't know if you've noticed, but the world has changed. Everybody's a preacher and a guru. And social media, everyone's got tips and tidbits on how to do this or that, especially around things like forgiveness or restoration. Some of it good, some of it bad. I'm not here to be a critic of any of that. And some of it you hear, they say you should never go back, accept the past for what it is, move on, look ahead, don't look back. And it takes me right to that story in the Torah about Sodom and Gomorrah, and the angel tells Lot and his wife, get out of the city, we're going to send destruction down on the city. Don't look back or you'll turn into a pillar of salt. And of course, Lot's wife, the woman in the patriarchal written Bible, the woman looks back, just like the woman ate the apple, but that's another story. A lot of problems with, but anyway, I'm getting carried away. The wife looks back and turns into a pillar of salt. And some use this as an example of the bad that can happen if you look back to your past. Then there are others say that, you must look back in order to move forward. That in order to reconcile the present and future, you must reconcile the past. But then there's my theory. That, of course, is both and. You must do both. Look forward to the possibilities, which sends you back into the past. I want to say more. We all come from a past where our ancestors, somewhere in their history, either were subjugated or were oppressors, or our ancestors starved or caused starvation. There's oppression, trauma. There's a lot of bloodiness in history, and all of us are part of that ancestral DNA. In fact, some say we all carry ancestral trauma. The past is full of pain, family systems that have impacted us. Broken marriages, abusive relationships, children left scarred by those relationships, who eventually, when they come of age and look for love, carry that into their relationship. And of course, their partner carries whatever they're carrying into that relationship. Both carry scars, pains, into courtship, which is why many relationships break down. People haven't done their work. If individuals haven't reconciled their trauma, it carries over. If they have children, that trauma is passed on to the kids. Now, this is scientifically proven with poor mice, who they've proven through studies, they put them in a cage, they put in a scent, and they shock the mice, and And they do this over and over to where just the scent alone causes the mouse to quiver. And then the mice have children, and then those children, just the scent alone causes them to quiver for 3 generations. So we carry it in our tissue, in our DNA, these traumas. On and on the cycles go. We all carry stories about our siblings, aunts and uncles, other relatives, friends who did vicious or not so nice things to us, which was also done to our parents, which was also perhaps done to their parents. And today I'm sure there are stories in this congregation that are too painful to discuss. In fact, I'm sure some of you just listening to me right now are getting a bit edgy. And I understand it is the price of being human. I have my own stories that I've had to reconcile and get to the root of, and some of it I can't because it's ancestral. I have to learn to bear it. But it's also why we have chronic abuse of drugs and prescription drugs and alcohol and vices. This is at the core of unprocessed emotional distress. And wherever there's a pain in your life, that is an unprocessed place in your past. This unprocessed pain is at the root of why we have tyrants and bullies. Hurt people, taking out their pain on others. And so we must look backward and forward to find reconciliation. However, if you look back and there is too much pain to bear, my advice to you, I'm not a therapist, my advice to you is to stop. You're not quite ready. Just leave it there. Find a safe and healthy distraction. If you look back and there is shame, stop. You're not ready. Try not to look for a resolution or for resolution in any way if you feel shame or a kind of anger at a level that debilitates you. Listen to your body. The body knows. The body keeps score, as the author wrote. When you're ready again, just take a peep. Probably with your therapist. Take a few glances before going all in. Make this your spiritual practice. And take your time. Be patient. Healing from injury, whether physical or mental, takes time. You know, you go out and you play hard and you maybe fracture your arm. I mean, you can't go out the next day and play hard again. I mean, it takes time, several weeks for that arm to heal. And perhaps it can even heal back stronger. With matters of the soul, this is a lifetime of work, but we can overcome. Eventually, you'll be able to look back and not become an object frozen in time. Rather, you'll be able to wrestle with your hurt until it subsides and does not enter your consciousness regularly. You'll be able to say what Jacob said. I like this story in the Hebrew Bible. You see, Jacob, he had what I believe was a dream where he was wrestling with a powerful force at night. And Jacob said to that entity, I will not let you go until you bless me. And his hip was struck. He was hurt in the process, but he kept wrestling all night. And when dawn came, he prevailed and was given a new name, Israel. You have wrestled with God and prevailed. He thought the force was negative, but it turned out to be something more powerful than he imagined. But I'm creative when I look at these stories. I would say that this is an account of someone fighting with themselves, with their past, with their present, with their future, with the future of his family, his people. And he was at a place where he was ready to go deep. And he changed the trajectory of his people. And being given a new name in the biblical sense is also symbolic. It symbolizes a new relationship, a rebirth, a transformation of the character. This is what happens when we make peace with our past. We're given a new outlook, and we trot a new future for ourselves and all those in our sphere of influence. So we take a peep to the past as a spiritual practice until we're ready to go all in, until we're ready to have that wrestling match with the self to reconcile the shadows, the past people, places, and things that are not allowing us to be our best selves. We look forward and we look backward. Forward toward new possibilities, backward so that we can chart a new course toward those possibilities. I was getting a massage Friday. And I'm sure some of you get massages, you know, when you go in there and you're a first timer and they say, would you like light, medium, or deep tissue? And, you know, depending on your mood, some people say, I just want the light massage, which is a bunch of, you know, just soft touch. I don't like light massages. But I understand some people, that's what they like. That's fine. And then some people say, well, I don't want deep, hard, or too soft, so I'll go with medium. And I'm like, the masseuse probably never understands medium. Like, how do you do medium? Either I'm rubbing you softly, or I'm going in. So medium, of course, is a little bit of knuckles and elbows, you know, but mostly still soft. And then you go deep tissue. Now, that's when they get deep down in with the elbows and you know, they're breaking up the calcium deposits. You hear stuff cracking, and you're thinking, man, I am not going to make it out of this. And afterwards, you know, you got to get up real slow. And it hurts a little bit. It hurts sometimes a lot. And you need a lot of water, and you're kind of out of it for the rest of the day. And the next day, you feel a little bit better, but you're thinking, like, maybe I shouldn't have done that. But about the third day, you feel like, wow, I'm not stiff at all. You feel really good. And this is the metaphor I'm going for here. This is what I'm talking about with going back and dealing with those things that cause us trauma and pain, right? Sometimes light, sometimes medium, sometimes you go deep. Depends on where you are. It's nobody's place to judge where you are. That's your decision. Over time, the negative experiences with the self release their grip. You've said to those shadows, I won't let you go until you bless me. I will not let you go until I can release you safely. And you get that out of your system, and the body stops keeping score. That is true healing. Which takes me back to my favorite actor as a child, Michael J. Fox, probably because he was a short guy. I loved all of his movies, saw them all many times. I just thought he was a great actor. And one of my favorite movies were all of the Back to the Futures, but really the first one. And, you know, this is the 80s, and his friend Doc Ock has the DMC DeLorean, and they get into this weird situation where Marty ends up in his car and shifted back to the future or back to the past in a time where his parents were in high school. And he lands in a tree where, unfortunately, his father was supposed to land, so that was the moment when his parents were supposed to meet, but he ends up in this tree, and so his mother sees him and automatically is smitten over her son. And so he spends most of the movie trying to, you know, get out of the way, but he keeps screwing things up, and he's trying to get his nerdy father interested in his mom, but she's totally crushing on him, and it's totally weird. And it's a lot of hijinks, a lot of comical parts. Every time he fixes something, one thing, something else screws up. But in the end, all is made whole. How did he do it? Marty discovered that his past, present, and future were dynamic, created by chance and choice. In the end, he went back to his present and discovered that his family life was better because of the choices he made in the past. His going back was instrumental to his family going forward to a better future. When we go back in our lives to past events and reconcile them in our hearts and rewrite our story to create a different past, a different present, and future story, that's what it's about. And your future is your choice. You are the author of your story. You can be that person that stops the cycle of abuse or blame. You can be that person you wished your parents had been. You can be that person who forgives the past and doesn't hold on to the anger. You can be that person who changes the trajectory of your family story. You have that power. You're not doomed to be a victim. You have agency over your life. And what is cool here is that by going back and facing your shadows, you begin crafting a new story that you can see play out before your eyes. It's magical because the future is dynamic. It's not written. Just like the UU faith, we are a living tradition. You are a living tradition. There's a song in our hymn book, number 23, Bring Many Names. And there's a lyric I like. It says, young growing God, eager still to know, willing to be changed by what you started. You are an evolving soul with power to change your reality by changing your perceptions. You can choose to forgive that living or dead parent or sibling or relative or even your ancestors and choose to do something wholly different with your life that will make a difference in your life and the life of others. You can absolutely go back again and rewrite your understanding of your story when you are ready. Of course, this won't change the hurt that was done. Jacob was struck in the hip. He had a limp for the rest of his life. The bad stories won't just disappear, but as I've said, they will get distant enough where they will not impede your spiritual growth. That's the point I'm trying to make today. If something angers you deeply, that means that is a place where some work needs to be done. That pain point is an indicator of your spiritual growth, like deep tissue massage. That tight muscle needs to be stretched so it can be restored to health. I want to switch gears very quickly and say, how does this all relate to our congregation? We are a micro of the macro. People and communities work the same. These are all family systems. And just like people, churches and organizations carry stories in their DNA. Pains, traumas, misconducts, messes that groups have tried to sweep under the rug, not talk about. And one of the things we have to learn as a congregation is to not be conflict avoidant. We have to face our institutional challenges. And again, we start lightly in some places and go heavier in other places. Same process, done with intention and love, until we create a beloved community that is trauma-free. You know, this congregation in my 14 years have wrestled, argued, disagreed over many things in our past. We argued over whether we should grow and add new members. We've argued over how to become, or should we become, or when can we become more welcoming to strangers. We've tussled over how to change the dominant white culture. We've argued over using God language in sermons, or singing gospel music, or singing pop music, or using the Teal hymnal in our services. Remember that? Or having a screen and projector during our service? Or using drums in the service? We've argued over governance and the authority of our ministers, about having a black senior minister. Remember that? About having 2 ministers of equal standing. We've had tension in the past and present over our issue of and lack of racial diversity, over the microaggressions experienced by people of color, or our social justice. Are we even being effective? Where should we do our work? Why are we in so many places? How can we get our social justice organized? And we've had many discussions and disagreements over clapping. To clap or not to clap, that is the question. How to clap. When to clap. Where to clap. No, I'm kidding. But I'm not kidding. We've healed from many of these, but some of these are top of mind. Some of these are hot topics right now. We, the congregation, we will go back. We have to reconcile these things with intention and love, because like individuals, the church is on its own mission to become a better version of itself. We've already looked forward with our end statement, our beloved community end statement. We say we want to become the beloved community by inspiring and empowering all souls to live bold and compassionate lives. We've spoken that into existence, and to get there requires effort, a lot of work, naming these things, addressing these things from the past, because we've already looked forward, so we must look back. And you know, when we don't do the work, just like in the movie Back to the Future, Marty started disappearing from pictures. If we don't do the work after we proclaim this vision, we start having this blurriness. The vision starts disappearing. And so we have to do this work because we've claimed it. We've said, we put the stake there. This is who we are. And next week, I'm going to talk more about who we are and a lot of the good work that we've done. But today really is about reconciliation. UUCA, let's make the choice to choose the future that is bold and compassionate. Let's bring together again, let's conciliate, make friendly our relationship with the past so that we can create a new and dynamic future with possibilities. Let's learn to accept, let's let go, let's forgive those things that need to be set aside. Let's go back so we can create a better future. Amen.